Okay, 6 o'clock. Great. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate everybody attending. I'd like to call the February 2nd, 2021 board meeting to order. This meeting of the Sugar Grove Village Board will be held as outlined in Public Act 101-0640, which waives the Open Meetings Act requirement that a physical quorum of elected officials be present to hold a public meeting in the event of a public health disaster declaration and a determination by the village president. Governor Pritzker issued a statewide disaster declaration on January 19, 2021. In response, President Shawn Michaels determined that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent at this time. With that said, we would stand, and Brian Walter, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Allison, would you do roll call, please?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. One. There we go. Okay. Trustee Cook. Trustee Cook. We'll come back.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can now. Thank you.
Okay.
Trustee Heron.
Here.
Trustee Montalto.
Here.
Trustee Conan.
Here.
Trustee Lendy.
Here.
Trustee Walter.
Here.
And President Michaels.
We've lost his visual.
Allison, I'm here. Yeah, the internet's slow here at Village Hall. Can you hear me? If you can give me the high sign if somebody can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I don't have anybody here in the boardroom, so I'm going to turn off the other computer, which might be taking up some Wi-Fi bandwidth. So, excuse me, real quick. Okay, thank you. And we have a quorum, so thank you. No public hearing, no appointments or presentations. Any public comments on items scheduled for action? Under tonight's consent agenda, we have approval of the minutes for January 18th. Oh, Allison, we can hear you typing. We have approval of the minutes for January 19th village board meeting, approval of the vouchers, a proclamation regarding National Engineers Week of 2021, a resolution approving the retail recruiting service, PSA next site, subject to attorney review, resolution approving the computer system data storage replacement, resolution for PSA for police pension fund audit with Sikich, a resolution for PSA OPED actuarial study, Lauterbach and Amen. And then under general business, we'll discuss the audio improvements. Any public comments on any of those items? Any comments? Any public comments? Going once? Going twice? Okay, hearing none, I will close that portion of the agenda. May I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion with the attorney approval aspect of it.
Second.
Second by Sean Heron. Any requests to remove an item?
Sean, I request to remove, I don't have it alphabetized on my end. We only see bullet points, but the next site.
All right, I'll amend my motion to remove that.
It's item D.
I'll amend my second.
Okay. Any other requests to remove an item? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, Allison.
Trustee Heron? I'm
Aye.
sorry, Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Trustee Conan?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Walter?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. May I get a motion to approve the retail services PSA of next site subject to attorney review?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. Obviously, I did have some questions, and I know some of you did as well. I was able to get mine kind of summed up here in what are Walter's notes that he sent over this afternoon, and some clarification to like the mom and pop stuff. So I just wanted to discuss it in a sense that I think it's a great plan. I think my questions were answered. I was concerned about the fee structure for businesses outside of, I guess, large retail and regional retail. And he clarified that mom and pop stuff is not something that we'd be paying on, which is exciting. But I was curious if any other board members found anything within the contract that they thought we should discuss before it's finalized. So that's why I pulled it. And no one else does. So then I guess to Laura, so all the things, and I saw the amended next site agreement that was attached here. I guess my only question would be, are there some of the stuff that I noticed was not in here? Does it not need to be in there, which is like the 6-month window? Do we not have to have that in our contract that says at 6 months, they're going to provide, every 6 months, they're going to provide the documents, the detailed analysis to us, or do we not worry about that? I guess part of my concern is their contract was a little bit vague, and maybe through your review, we can add some additional detail.
Yes, we can take a look and see if there's anything, to that degree that would need to be included in the finalization of the agreement.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Allison, roll call, please.
Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Walter?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Conan?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is under general business is a resolution approving the boardroom audio improvements. Allison or Brent is champion that. Whoa. Somebody's coming across like the chipmunks.
He sounds like it.
Is that Brent?
Yeah.
Do you have helium down there?
I'll have to try to fix that.
That does sound good. Yeah, Brent, might not want to speak. It's not coming out very clear. We'll let Allison take over.
We can't hear her.
You're muted.
I pushed it. And just before I get started, Jerry Lisinski from Advanced Communications is on the call, and so is Tim Eldridge, so they can answer specific questions. But in general, to address audio concerns in the boardroom that actually were brought to our attention really when we started recording our meetings back over a year ago now in November, December of 2019, with the use of the little handheld recorder, that the quality of that we put on YouTube is a little not high quality. And then also with the move from COVID onto GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar, just the feedback in the room and the echoes that we're getting, just to address getting a better sound, getting better recordings when we do have people back in the audience so that they can hear more clearly. There will be speakers. So we sought proposals to address both the audio and the visual. This is the audio portion. We're still working through some of the video aspects of it. So we are looking for feedback from the board in terms of what you're looking to achieve in the audio in the boardroom. And if you have technical questions, then Jerry and Tim would be happy to answer those for you.
I guess I'll start off. We had it was a voting hearing board, and we had multiple people in the boardroom trying to talk, and it was very cumbersome. We had a lot of feedback, and people on different electronic apparatuses weren't able to keep their volume on. They had to mute. So this is of importance. So, and I envision the day when we reconvene, but try to broadcast this over YouTube, that it'll be important to have a good sound system. So, anyways, I open up the floor to either Allison, Brent, if he's back, or Jared.
Yeah, if I may, I'll step in. This is a complete difference of what you currently have out there. This system is a discussion microflex system designed specifically for your venue, and everyone will have total clarity over their microphones. You will not have to deal with feedback or echo canceling. This will be heading off to a digital recorder, all the microphones. You will have capabilities of setting the microphones from the chairman to the delegates, or to the president to the delegates, if you will. You'll have 5 different ways to set them up. My staff would train you how to do that simply, to where your mics would be activated by Vox, just by speaking, or you camp on and wait for someone to release your microphone to speak, or just general discussion. It's a fantastic system with that respect. We have covered the speaking points of 17 positions. That would be 1 chairman or president unit, 15 delegates, 1 podium position, total of 17 positions, last speaking to Allison. And this system, all you would have to do in the closet is turn this system on. Master Power will have a little control panel in there for your volume and any additional settings, but it's just to turn it on. That's all you have to do. We will be able to incorporate this into future streams out to YouTube through video. At this time, you will be able to, again, record everything to the digital recorder. We'll also be able to, each and every microphone position has its own speaker. And this is called mix minus. When you speak, say the president is speaking, he will not hear himself, but locally, but everybody else will clearly. Then the attendees will have, we have new speakers going for everyone sitting in the public position. They will have their own zone. We'll have different level control for them. So we set it so it's a comfortable level setting and should hear very well. This is a digital system. It daisy chains. We can expand up to as many microphones as you will ever need. and we will hide the cables under the tables. It'll look nice and neat. These are microphones. Each microphone has a light on it. The light is green and red, indicating that you are speaking or you're in a mute position. The patrons will be able to see that. This system also streams out to a GUI of someone who, like a clerk position or someone who would be controlling it, where people at their screen, at their video, it can be streamed out to where they can see who's speaking and their name if they cannot see your name played out in front. So again, attendees, you can see who's camped on, waiting to respond, all kinds of options available that come with this system. So through all of my years of experience, this system is solid. We have it going in several other village halls, and I've done demonstrations for it. Everyone's been just overwhelmed in a positive way, and so that's why I brought this to Allison at the time of design.
I have a question.
Sure.
So it seems like the meeting that we're all aware of, that we had very poor audio, and I believe President Michaels was on his phone. And my first question is, let's say, I don't know how quickly, if we approve this gets implemented, but how does it affect business as it exists today? So we don't know exactly when we're all going to be back in the same space. I still envision for the meeting to go forward that if there are multiple, whether it be our President Michaels and other trustees in the room, that you still have to have a video component. So they're on a laptop, and I would assume that you're still going to have feedback that we would see if we were home, and background noise. So it's not, the bigger issue, I think, is twofold. Going forward, we know we have some audio issues for the boardroom, but also, two, how does this truly resolve it remotely if you have multiple people in the room on a laptop?
Well, that's Allison and I spoke of that. Like this presentation right now, this GoToMeeting, how they handle this and how they control this with their echo canceling and their ability in your names and through the network is completely out of the realm of this system, so to speak. Anyone in the boardroom who attends, if we use their microphones and implement them into the system of this communication, their microphones and their speech will be recorded, okay, to the digital recorder. I'm trying to understand totally your question. So you're talking about remote and at the boardroom and chambers, right? At the same time?
Can I jump in, Jen? Because I was there. The meeting she's talking about, we had a glitch with President Michaels' computer, okay. And we ended up. I had brought an iPad with me, and we ended up using my iPad to view. And then when somebody in the audience needed to talk, I had to turn my iPad around so you could see them. So we were limited. They had to be close enough to the iPad to speak so people could hear. The problem was every time President Michaels talked, I had to quick turn off the sound on my iPad because it would create feedback between the two because they were too close to each other. So that's an issue we have if people are there on computers or iPads or whatever, and they're trying to talk like we are right now. You know, it's not an issue when we're all in our separate homes, but when you get them next to each other or 10 feet apart from each other, they're creating feedback for each other. So you're like turning off and on, the sound every time somebody wants to speak. Sure.
So a couple things to respond to that, Rick, is if we ever implement the cameras into this room and the video end of it, you will not have to rely on your PC for this meeting. We will be using the cameras that are in the room that will auto track your speech as a group, as two people, a single person. The cameras will detect who's speaking, and your microphones will carry the stream for this call. The sound system that I have put together for Allison so far, it is intended, the original intent is for your chambers, the room for everyone to hear beautifully in the room, for your recordings to take place, and we can stream the system out. Okay, so those are the first priorities.
And that's the question I believe Jen was getting at. Can you, if you're on the computer there and some of us are home, like President Michaels is there right now, your system can be tied to this GoToMeeting and we can view him just like he's on his computer at this point.
If we get to the video end of it, yes, that's exactly what the design would be for. Okay. Just like, yep, and we can run a computer string to where his name, he or she, your name will appear in the visual, and your name will appear for the audio. That's one thing Allison had asked me way back when. So I got with both manufacturers, and it's a matter of programming, but we can follow along the same principle of what we're doing right now. But yes.
Because we don't have the video portion of this.
Yes.
My question is yes, I understand that this proposal is for primarily the boardroom. I want to know that it's going to function and eliminate the problems that we had without the video component from you. So if we continue to operate these GoToMeetings until I don't know when, but will your audio fix the problem that we had when you had computers next to each other creating background noise? Because that's where we are. So I want to know that twofold, that we understand that your project is for the boardroom, but that really what was not functioning was that audio from that meeting. Will this fix that problem if we're not hooked up to your video?
Okay, Jen, if you indulge me with that, may I do a write-up on that tomorrow for Allison? I'd like to recreate that and see exactly, recreate that to see if we tackle that issue. Okay, if I may, I'll take the science of a remote call like this, and then local computers on the local sound system, and then see how they work in continuity with one another. That's your question, right? Not feedback issues, anything, right?
Right.
I have not replicated that, and I don't want to speak outright not knowing for a fact, okay? Allison had asked me if this system would work with the GoToMeeting, and we actually mocked it up with the cameras, and it worked well, all of that. But I'd like to tackle the science on your question, if I may. I'll give a technical response for it probably tomorrow.
Can I? A couple days, that's fine. I would think that we would mute the computers and just use the video, and then use the sound system that Advanced Communications is looking at installing, but it's better to be safe.
Yeah, multiple microphones, it gets a little hairy when they're not controlled, when they're omnidirectional, and it gets a little out of hand. So I will give you an opinion on that, okay? I would just like to gather up our thoughts of my team and get that out to Allison tomorrow.
Okay.
If that's
John,
okay.
can you hear me any better now or no?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Yeah, I switched to my phone. I think, Jerry, I'm gonna try to restate this, and I think it might be answering the question. I think what we all have to do is to separate out in our minds the audio and the video. My understanding is, if all we put in was the audio system, the audio would work great. Everybody would work off the village board audio. And the only reason you would bring a device in was because your device would serve as your camera and your screen, but you would turn off the microphone on your device and turn off the sound on your device. So the only sound would be through the system in the boardroom, so there wouldn't be feedback, because there would be, none of the devices would be doing sound. It would be a video only purpose. The one thing that, as I understand from our conversations with Jerry, I think that everyone should realize, with this type of system, if we do implement the cameras and the audio in the meantime, on a go to webinar type setup, the village boardroom is one square. It's not going to be like this, where every person in the boardroom has an individual camera on them that are logged in separately. So what you'll get in the interim would be, there would be a square that would say be village boardroom, and that's where all the microphones in the boardroom would go. When anybody's speaking, it would just say village boardroom. If we implement the camera system that's proposed, that we're working on, it would still be a single square and go to webinar, but the cameras would automatically zoom in on who's ever speaking. If two people were talking back and forth, there's a setting where the screen would be split, so you would see both people. So I don't know if that helps answer your question, Jen, or not, but like I say, the audio and video really are, they're two integral components, but they, to a degree, are kind of separate, kind of not.
That's correct, Brent.
Yeah. The other thing I think it's important for the board to understand is that we don't have the video portion before you tonight, but the concept we're working on right now involves 3 stationary cameras that, as Jerry talked about, they would zoom in on whoever's speaking. And the reason there's 3 is essentially, we've got a full circle of people sitting around there. So to be able to, see faces around the room, it takes 3. That system, at least the staff level, we're pretty comfortable on. The part that we're still trying to wrap our mind around is video monitors within the boardroom, and to try to figure out for PowerPoint presentations, primarily once we're back in person, where do we place monitors that the board, staff, our consultants, and the audience can all see. And there's a few different, concepts we've been working with, and they all kind of have their pros and cons. So I don't know that, that's why we didn't present that as part of it tonight, because we're still trying to kind of figure out what we think is the best way to go. Obviously we can show you the alternatives, but, and that may be one where, quite honestly, I think that's going to be difficult to determine, over a go-to-meeting. I think those who are more interested may actually want to come into the room at some point, during the next couple weeks to get a better visual, because, some of the concepts include, hanging of monitors from the ceiling, having individual, almost like computer screens in front of each, one at each table, if you would, around the dais, that they would be, they would be mounted in such a way that they're not so high up that you can't see over them. They basically, the bottom of the monitor would be flush with the bottom of the table. Do we put a couple monitors on the back sidewalls for audience to see? And I say, I don't know that there's a perfect solution, but not to get too far ahead, but I think you should know some of that. And the other part of it, Allison or Jerry, help me out. I think with the cameras, with the monitors, that piece alone, I want to say that's right now in the neighborhood of $50,000 additional. So I think we're talking about $25,000 for audio and about another $50,000 for that type of video with the cameras, with the monitors. And so I think you need to know kind of,
and the switching. Yep. And the switching, the sources, the computer input sources. Yes. Touchscreen control, everything automated. Yes.
Yeah. So just so you have a concept of, based on what we understand, where the board was trying to go with this, that's what that kind of a system costs. I think part of the discussion you may want to have is, is the goal, let's say someday we're going to get through this pandemic, is the goal at that point to still, broadcast meetings, whether it's, live or YouTube, if you want to have, good video after that, then more than likely, the concept camera system or something close is going to be needed. If you want to go back to just audio only after that, then, that might eliminate the camera issue. But, we still have to decide if you want to make any changes for, video within the room itself, as far as like PowerPoint presentations. Do we still want to just use the projector and the pull down screen and board members have to move? or do you want to do something else? So, those are some of the issues that you have to tackle, but all in, we're in the, $70,000, $80,000 price range.
Can
And
we
Brent,
start
I'd welcome
audio?
the opportunity.
Yeah. Hey, Jerry, just, and not that it's really being contemplated, but as I'm assuming, most of the components of the system could be picked up and moved to a different location if a few years down the road, the village, builds
Yes.
something else.
We have done that many times. We've actually moved village halls to a new village hall and took all the equipment and moved it. And then, Brent, I would be more than happy to come out and do a mock-up with anyone who cares to see the video ideas, the video endpoints, the viewing points, so we can actually physically talk to one another and point and describe the pros and cons. So I'm available anytime.
I have a comment. Yep. I just want to say, first of all, appreciate the efforts. From my experience, before it became cool to do remote meetings, as you guys know, I travel, and I think I dialed into 4 or 5 of the meetings, and that was something that really had never been done that often before. And I just want you to know from my experience, and it was just going through a phone, my phone, and then through like Rick's phone in front of him. I could hear everything. I never felt like I wasn't part of the meeting, and it was at the most rudimentary use of technology. That was my experience. And I guess I have a question too, but another comment to be, as I work for a multi-billion-dollar company, we have remote meetings, over 150 people live on them. We have spent $0 on anything like this. And I just see this as something for major municipalities when you have a lot of people, hundreds of people involved. I don't know how many people, Allison, if you know how many people view these online, the meetings, or not view, but listen to them online.
We have between 5 to 25, depending on the topic.
So we want to spend $25,820 to improve audio, and then a total of $70,000 plus to have video for this group here, a few people in the village boardroom, and a couple people calling in that maybe can't make it once we're in person. So I just throw all that out there. This is a big ticket item. I know it's a one-time. I don't even know if there are ongoing fees, but
No, there isn't.
it's a big one-time fee. So that's my opinion. My experience has been just fine when I've had to be remote for work.
If I could kick in real quick, I think the audio has been an issue for us. I mean, with audio cutting in and out and feedback and different things like that. And I can see us working towards correcting that. I mean, it was kind of embarrassing when we had that hearing and we've got an attorney testifying, and luckily I brought my iPad, or things would have been kind of like ground to a halt because nothing else was working. So I think we need to address the audio things. I think the video is fluff at this point because, like you say, if we put our computers or iPads or something, I mean, you could buy everybody a village iPad and put it in front of you and use that for video and just, like you say, turn the sound off, like Brent said, and get by for a couple $1,000 in iPads versus $50,000 for video. I do think the audio is something that needs to be addressed, though. I mean, even if we put it out so people listen somehow on the web or something, it is an issue. I've had trouble hearing Ted when Ted was in the village hall next to Sean because they were trying to share a microphone. So there's got to be an answer to fixing that. I get the fact that it's a lot of money, but it is, I think that's a necessary evil. I think the video's not, we don't need to spend that kind of money for video right now.
I was on that meeting. I was driving though, so it was even that much harder to hear when I was driving during the meeting you're referring to. And that was difficult. And I was just trying to troubleshoot in my own mind while I was driving. It just sounded like it just needed to have people directly in front of a microphone. They were too distant. But like I said, obviously the group has to decide, but I don't have any of these issues with other much larger meetings and people can be heard. There isn't, it's just, I think it's just what we're under right now, but we're going to get through this.
And Ryan, that was the solution when we had that trouble at the meeting, was we had to basically pass around the iPad so that people, and by having these individual microphones, it sounds like we're eliminating that step.
And one other thing, if I may add, the system, the video portion of it came with two positions to plug in your PC, so that anything you're trying to present to the board through video will be viewed on the monitors. Just one thing to keep in mind. Also, there was the ability of wireless. Any laptop in the room who downloads the free app, which takes about 30 seconds, can wirelessly feed their input, their informations from, it's agnostic, from a phone, from a PC, from a tablet, anything can be sent to those monitors in the room for the viewing points. Just so you all know, that's all. That's part of, besides the auto tracking cameras.
I just want to bring up one other thing. So first, just a comment, unless Jerry can give some kind of a range on it. But in this proposal, there is not electrical. So the electrician to install all of this is kind of an unknown number. So I'd be curious if there's a range, Jerry, on prior jobs that you've seen, or if there's an electrician you work with that you know roughly what we're talking about for an electrical install. That's my first question. And then second would be, is there any way to pare this quote down? Do we really need 17 microphones?
Well, I'll let Allison. I had less. We just raised it.
So we actually talked about sharing microphones, and we run into the same problem of picking up feedback of what if you want to talk offline a little bit, how do you mute everything? It just seemed to be we weren't solving the problem that we were trying to solve with not everyone having their own microphone. So that is why we proceeded with this. Originally, I think we had a few people sharing, but again, the problem that we were trying to solve, this is the way it worked. But sharing is an option. Again, you haven't completely gotten rid of the feedback in terms of, or sharing conversations or being in charge of your own microphone and speaker.
And electrical, maybe? Any rough ideas on that?
Yeah, Jen, the electrical is what we were talking for the audio system. It would only require the entire system would only require a duplex power in the closet, a single circuit of power in the closet. And
And then your company runs everything else. So you just need the electrician to set that up in the closet.
Yes, ma'am. Yep, just that.
Okay.
If we went the video route, what we would need is power in one position that would cover two of the TVs that would be suspended at the moment. And then the other TV position, if we went in front of the president's, say the front lower of the table for the staff, or if we suspended it, we would need one more position. So the electrical, that is, again, just power. Everything else is run digitally and low voltage, and we're responsible for all of that. So to answer, your question in the one closet for the sound system, I couldn't say, but maybe $250, $300 for a duplex there.
Okay.
Potentially.
And then I do have another question, Jerry.
Sure.
Within this, I believe it said that there's 12-month warranty.
Yes.
And I guess my question, I don't know your typical installation if it's a boardroom, but in our case, over the course of 12 months, let's say it's used 24 times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know in a normal installation if people are getting more wear and tear out of it and they're noticing anything in less months, but let's say because ours is a 12-month contract, we only use it limited amount of time and then we start having problems, a little bit past that. So I don't know, based on the usage that this potentially will have, if you're willing to extend that contract based on our usage, that warranty.
Okay, Jen, we have hundreds of systems out there I've been doing this a little over 30 years. And to answer your question, each of the manufacturers, such as Shure and Crown and QSC and the various manufacturers that are listed on this proposal, they have a 5-year warranty on the products, okay? We warranty the system for a year, which means after a year, if you are having a breakdown or something that happens, we would charge you a service call of $110 to $120 to take that device and replace it and get it fixed for you. That's after 1 year. I have systems like this, they go for 10 and 15 years, and I don't hardly ever get a call. So we find it that it's that to develop like an extended service contract is a cost that's really not necessary in a system like this. And also, I always ask the board to say, hey, let's look at this entire year, see if we have any problems or if I have to take care of any issues. And we'll use that as kind of a history of saying, hey, this has been really solid. But the one thing nice is these manufacturers, such as the speakers, the amplifiers, the processors, they will replace their items after 1 year, up to 5 years. So they're really good about that. And a lot of them are local. And from Indiana and Illinois. So it's a good thing, but this is all solid state, digital, meant to last you for 10 to 15 years easily, this one-time purchase. So I don't get service calls on this stuff. I don't. And we have, again, hundreds of municipalities, police, fire, everything with these types of systems. And I don't get calls on them. I get calls on wireless microphones, but then the batteries are dead most of the time when we go out there. So to answer your question directly, this should be very solid for you. And after 1 year's time, if we had some issues, then maybe we look at extending for a small percentage of our services to you. But I don't anticipate any problems, unless the only thing I see is people beat up the microphones. People, sometimes I've sat in on these meetings and people get upset and they grab the microphone and they've slammed it down, or they're rough on it, and they tend to wear it down over 4 or 5 years a lot sooner. If people treat the microphones with respect, they'll last for a very, very long time.
Okay. Any other questions for staff or Jerry?
And if I may, I can just, we do have some videos it's more focused on the video portion, the camera portion, demos, that we can send out if we bring forward the video portion, that help kind of show you, what the whole system looks like with the microphones and the cameras. So we will share that with you. It wasn't specifically applicable to the audio today, but with the video component and the microphones, it would help you understand how it all works together. So we can send that out.
And they're willing to do an online demonstration. The manufacturer will answer all questions and give you an online demonstration. Okay, just so you know.
Jerry, can you build on the system? So let's
Absolutely.
say we started with the microphones, and
Yep.
a year from now we decide we want to add the camera system. Do they work together, or do you need to buy a specific sound system to go with the camera system?
No, that's with Allison enlisting us to do this as a professional designer, you can grow into the video at any time. You can expand slightly. You can expand with one auto tracking camera, greatly reduce your cost. All of this you can build upon. The sound system can grow if you have more delegates in the future, more staff. All of this technology will be around for a long time. And yes, to answer your question, growth is potential. There's no concern about not doing the video at first or the cameras at first. The audio will be its own system. It will record properly for you, and you will hear beautifully when you stream.
Okay. All right. Well, Austin, if you would send out that video so we can see the whole package, and we're not going to take action tonight. We can take look at taking action in 2 weeks at the next board meeting.
Can I just confirm one thing? This is mainly for when we're back in person, right?
Yes.
If you're asking me, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure. I know there was other conversation. Could we link it into this and that? But okay. I just wanted to confirm that.
Sean, if I may, is there, and I mean, maybe Jerry knows, but are there still questions that the board has looking for answers for, specific information, or I think, Jen, you had asked one, and I think Jerry was going to do some stuff, but I don't know if we answered the question in the follow-up conversation.
Well, I don't know what question. I asked regarding the electrical, and he made it sound like that was a small.
Yep. Very small.
No,
small
I think
electrical.
the question earlier about if people are bringing in their own devices and feedback and how we were going to deal with that. I don't know if the answers were satisfactory, if you're still looking for more.
No, I think if what you truly relayed is correct, that then we're not going to. I don't know if you can replicate that. If you can get 3 computers into the boardroom, if President Michaels is there and Ted decides to go and Rick wants to show up, can we get 3 laptops going and just confirm that that works, that you have the audio hooked up through their mics and that works without feedback? And I guess, Allison, you would be at your desk and see if you get feedback in there. That's the fix that we need currently.
Yeah, and Brent had brought up a very good point. You could shut off the audio at your computer while you speak at that time, and we can incorporate the microphone that's at the computer to be part of the call.
Yeah, so your computers would give you the video, and the built-in mic system would give you the audio.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'd be interested in seeing the complete package and being worked or in the works with the video that Allison will send out, just so we can see how it all operates. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Goodbye, everyone. It's nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Okay, Brent, anything else that needs to come up for discussion items?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right, staff reports. Start off with Tony. You're top of the.
Even though it didn't make the report this week because the report was put in before this snow, obviously we had the 10-inch snow over the weekend, and the equipment and staff did a great job, and everything worked like it was supposed to, and we had it all taken care of. So that was a busy time there. It was kind of pretty heavy for Saturday into Sunday. All that was done well. I attended a couple meetings the past couple weeks. Don't really have anything else exciting to talk about. So that completes my report.
I have to compliment Public Works with the amount of snow we had and the fact that they plowed it back so close to the curb. I don't know if any of the male men or male women have had any complaints, but I was very impressed living in a cul-de-sac how they were able to get it back to the curb as tight as they did. So compliments to the staff.
Thank you.
And driving through other communities, you notice how good it actually is. Our roads are clear, our intersections are clear. There's not, and you are all the way to the curb, Tony. Those guys are all the way to the. It's so much better seeing other communities and coming back to Sugar Grove. There's a noticeable difference.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it starts with Brad's leadership and training, and then the equipment improvements over the years that come together to produce those results.
I was amazed at how fast, I mean, getting up early in the morning, I'm an early riser. The streets were clean when I got up. I couldn't believe how nice they looked after that snow. And I guess my question for Tony is, did the chocolate chip cookies make it to Public Works?
Yes.
My wife was so impressed. She was baking chocolate chip cookies at 7 o'clock in the morning to send over to PW for the streets.
Yes, the team enjoyed them. They totally said they were excellent.
I will.
I even got to compliment the residents. I was impressed with how even the sidewalks were cleared in a lot of places. So it seems like everybody's cognizant of people out walking more and doing their civic responsibility and cleaning their driveways and the sidewalks to help people get off the street. So the community did a great job. Okay, any questions for Tony? Okay, Walter, you had a busy report.
The only thing I'll add that's not in the report that was distributed is Chris is continuing to monitor what's going on at Prairie Point. To make a long story short, there's a problem with the HVAC system that needs to be corrected before they can get occupancy. And he's been in contact with the general contractor and the owners of the building, and they've elected to hire a mechanical engineer to diagnose the problem and a solution.
Any questions?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Walter? We did have some good discussion on the old Timbercrest property. It's the property east of Windsor Point with the property owner, and they hope to go out and start marketing that property to some residential developers. So I think we can get some good, clear direction on how to proceed, and hopefully they'll come back in a short amount of time with some people interested in doing a development. Any other questions? Okay, Matt?
Just a couple of updates on the items. FirstNet, we have received our new phones, and Chief and Tony will be scheduling with FirstNet to get all the new phones switched out. And then budget process is in the process right now. We actually do tentatively plan to have a portion of the budget to discuss at the next meeting. That's our goal right now, and we believe we'll be able to do that. So it'll be a split budget workshops this year again, different from the last couple of years where we did it in one meeting for a majority. But our plan is to have something presented at the next meeting for a portion of the budget, probably general fund. So that'll start. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Matt? Okay. Will we get the board report then, like we typically do on a Friday, for us to review the budget? So we have a few extra days to review the worksheets.
Yeah, actually our internal staff meeting is Thursday, so I'm hoping to have something finalized by mid next week to get out a week ahead of time is my try to get it out by Wednesday or Thursday, but for sure by Friday you'll have it.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Question or Chief Rollins?
Sure. Thank you. Probably about 10 to 12 days ago, the police department received notification from the health department that the COVID vaccine was going to be made available to us. A number of employees took advantage of it. And then we have 2 days this week where other employees will get their first dose. And then 28 days later, we'll get a second dose. So we're grateful that phase 1B was moved forward and that we were able to get the vaccine to those that were interested in it. As a delayed item, the middle school annual drill took place this past week on 2 separate days because of the split schedule that they're in for an A and B. It was eerily quiet in a school of that size, having a small portion of the students for both of those days, and how quiet they were. You didn't even know that the kids were present. And then as a follow-up on last Monday prior to the snowstorm occurring, we went live with Nixle. I know I talked about it last meeting. And we were able, since we went live, we were able to put on an advisory message about the winter storm approaching. And then we had 2 emergency alerts that went out about road closures for, I believe one was a commercial snowplow and the other one was a vehicle that took out a telephone pole and it laid across the roadway. And as Tony mentioned earlier, we got to send out another weather advisory alert on Saturday night for the snowstorm that took place. So it's been a great opportunity for us to get the message out. We've already sent, since we went live, 4 messages, and they're also, the history of it is also on the front page of our website.
I thought they worked extremely well. I got all of your messages, and someone asked me about it, and I couldn't have said enough positive things about it. I think it's a nice addition, and I'm curious how many people, if you know, are signed up for it.
Give me a second here. Yeah.
There, you're back.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not able to pull it up right now. I'll look and I can send that out through an email.
Okay.
I had a quick question for Chief. I was just wondering if you had any advice, or if we should put out any advice about the rash of carjackings that have been going on. I know that recent one up there on Orchard by Wendy's was like right before I decided, oh, I'll go to a different restaurant instead of Wendy's that night. And I know there's been a rash in them. Is it not affecting us? Are we just on the fringe where it's not affecting us? Because I believe that one involved also one from Maple Park. And if you have any suggestions.
I can put something out on social media, put something out on Facebook, just as reminders. And, you know, that one was an unfortunate incident that took place in Aurora off of Orchard Road, a very unusual one. However, we know there's an uptick in the carjackings that are occurring, and it's expanded outside the city of Chicago. It's very alarming. I know the city of Chicago, the mayor and the superintendent reached out to some of the communities and have had meetings or a teleconference meeting with them, and we're waiting to be filled in and hopefully get incorporated in to what was taking place so we can pass that along.
And there was a break-in earlier in the week in Windstone with somebody out in the area, so it is hitting close to home.
Yes, that social media post is going out after this meeting.
Okay. Pat, in the Municipal Journal, there was an executive order signed by Trump on safe policing and safe communities, and it requires local law enforcement to certify that their agency is in compliance with the safe policing principles, and I think it's no choking as well. Have we met the conditions of that executive order?
We did. So back in November of 2020, I applied for the certification process through the Illinois Chiefs. We provided proofs, our training documents, our policies, some of our procedures, and a number of other instruments to show that we are compliant. There was 2 mandatory fields that were required under this, and then there was 12 optional. We completed all the 2 mandatory and then the 12 optional, and I believe it was December 8th, 2020, we received our official letter that we were certified, federally certified for use of force, and it's good for 3 years.
Okay. Maybe that's something we're posting on our Facebook or our webpage, is that we have met that certification.
Okay.
Any other questions for Chief? Okay. Questions for Brent or Alex?
How you feeling?
Yeah.
Are you
I
asking
feel
me?
great,
Or...
thanks.
Yes. Questions for Brent. How you feeling? You look
Pretty
like
good. I'd say I've been fortunate, and quite honestly, it's been like having a cold for me. So I feel very fortunate in that. Just, nothing too bad, knock on wood, and hopefully the quote worst, and I hate to say the worst because it really wasn't that bad, is over. So yeah, I mean, if, I would have thought in a normal year, I just got a cold, but with what's going around this year, and 2 medical professionals in the house are like, yeah, go get tested anyway. So we go, really, and yeah. So, but no, I'm doing good. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? Other questions for Brent or Alice? Okay. Trustee reports. Ryan?
Unmute. I don't have anything to report. Thank you.
Okay. Sean Heron?
Same, nothing to report.
Okay. Trustee Cook?
It doesn't look like he's on anymore.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Trustee Conan?
I just had one comment that I wanted to go over with the board. On Friday, we received that email from staff asking for our inquiry about property located near the airport. And when the brochure came out, the marketing brochure came out, we had an opportunity to look through what they were, I guess, suggesting. My initial thought was, I should probably provide feedback because staff is asking for feedback. And then I sat for a second and thought, well, whatever feedback I provide, I don't know where the rest of you all sit. So I want to know where other board members sit on just in giving feedback to a landowner or a marketing company who wants to put their marketing brochure out there to suggest that potentially could be okay by our board. And I honestly don't know where the rest of you sit on that. The other thing that I thought about was the fact that we are coming on the cusp of a comp plan review with our community, and to put out a marketing brochure that might not be well suited for that land. I just felt myself in a situation where I thought this sounded a little bit Crown-esque, if you will. For us to be able to provide information to a landowner or developer that is not approved by the board hasn't had a discussion about it, and potentially could get out there in the public and freak people out, for lack of a better word. The last 2 developments that hit this community cost the residents $75,000 in legal fees. The last thing we want to see is a plan come forward that we didn't approve, we didn't discuss, and now someone sees it and starts coming at the board asking us questions and we don't have any information. So I asked staff that if there is something like that, that a landowner wants information and their marketing company wants information, that I'm happy to have an open discussion at the boardroom, because I also want to hear what my fellow board members have to say. So we feed off each other. I might provide insight that you haven't thought of, and vice versa. But they should be coming to us and asking for that, versus us providing information that I don't know what Heidi thinks, and I don't know what Rick thinks, but staff knows, and what's happening with that information. So I just wanted it to be clear to staff that that's how I want to communicate. I hope you guys are on board with that we're all open individuals and sharing information, and we certainly don't want them going out and marketing something that they can't get approval for, and then think, well, we buffaloed them in some way because their pulse on our board was that maybe they could get this through. So I just think that needs to come to an open meeting.
Well, that was the whole intent, because if you put the developers hat on, they don't want to spend a lot of money if the board is going to say right out of the box, we're not interested in a warehouse distribution center. So if there's even a chance of entertaining that, the developer said that they could come in, make a brief presentation so we could get some information out there. But when you look at the land use, you obviously don't have residential going underneath the landing pattern of a runway. Retail is somewhat limited in a community our size, so they have some interest in pursuing this, but before they spent a lot of money in developing a detailed plan, they wanted to get a nod from the board as to which way we were looking at going.
And listen, I understand their motivation. My point is that could have easily been put on the agenda for a discussion, and we could have had a discussion about it. But at this point, honestly, I don't know where any board members stand on the issue. So whatever information gets on to staff is aware, and then staff might communicate something to that end user that, based on early feedback, might be positive, but then when you get together and have a conversation, it might not work out. I'm just saying an open discussion where we're talking to each other, not just providing solitary information to a staff member, is maybe a more appropriate way to go. That was my thought.
Okay.
Can we put that on a agenda in 2 weeks as a discussion item?
No, I think it'd be best to give the developer opportunity to put something together, so we're not putting words into their mouth as to what they're presenting. So we can convey to the developer that if they'd like to make just a courtesy presentation to get the ball rolling from their perspective, they could do that. Okay. Anything else? Okay.
No, thank you.
Trustee Lindy?
I have nothing to report, except I wanted to thank Tony and Public Works for such a wonderful job with the snowfall and everything. You guys did a great job.
Okay. Trustee Montalto?
I have nothing to report other than, again, my thanks to staff. And I'd like to just thank everyone who sent condolences on the loss of my mother a couple of weeks ago. So I appreciate all those. Other than that, it's been quiet on the home front. So.
Good. Okay. President's report, I have nothing to report. Open it up for public comment. We have 5 attendees. Anybody would like to make the public comment?
And again, Sean, I'll just remind, if you're online and you want to make a comment, you use the raise your hand feature.
Okay. Pardon me, Allison, anybody raise their hand?
No, there were no hands. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. No public comments. I'll close that portion. Joe is not here to provide an airport report. No need to go to closed session. So may I get a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion.
Second.
Second. Okay. Roll call, please.
Trustee Montalto,
Aye.
Trustee Heron,
Aye.
Trustee Walter,
Aye.
Trustee Cook. Oh,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Trustee Conan,
Aye.
Trustee Lindy.
Aye.
Okay, motion's adjourned. Thank you all for attending. See you in 2 weeks. Have a good evening.